Hi guys, my name is Sive and welcome to Stories in Sive. Today we're going to be doing an unusually paired video. I'm going to be telling you that I read it and talking about some things that I liked about it while cutting my hair. I have my tools, my trash can, and my mirror right here, and we're just going to dive right in. I've cut my hair before and I trim my own hair. I wanted to go for something that looked like this and like this. And so that's what we're going for today. I'm just gonna get right into it. I will say there are spoilers ahead for the It movies, and I'm not going to give too many spoilers as far as plot points that I found in the book that weren't in the movie. So if you do feel like reading the book, that is still gonna be an option to you after watching this video. But if you've not seen It and you plan to, don't watch this video. First thing, we're just gonna brush it out. We're just gonna start by giving myself a trim. So I've had a sentimental attachment to It for a while. I originally heard of the concept of it through pop culture references growing up, but when the 2017 movie of It Chapter 1 came out, I was totally hooked. I loved the story, I loved the characters, and I did a lot of research on the book and on the filmmaking and really enjoyed that, and I definitely got very attached to it. And then It Chapter 2 came out. That's one side kind of chopped and this side is not. You can barely tell the difference, so I'm gonna go a little bit shorter, but that's okay. You gotta go slow. Rather go slow. So It Chapter 2 came out and I didn't prefer it. I didn't like it better than the first one. I think the first one, Chapter 1, is much better. I'm not like a huge horror movie buff. I honestly don't enjoy horror movies so much, which is why my friends and family are like, why do you like It so much? It is super weird and creepy. I generally don't like horror movies. They freak me out. They always leave me very unsettled, but for some reason, it was just amazing and I thought it was really good. I thought it was really well done. The concept of the clown is like so ridiculous that it doesn't like affect my everyday life. I've kind of assumed that everybody watching this knows the general idea of it. It is essentially a supernatural alien entity that came to Earth and resides in the small town of Derry and feeds on the fear of individuals in that town, especially if those individuals are children. It, also known as Pennywise, the dancing clown, shows itself to each of the kids who are members of the Losers Club in the form that scares them the most. So this book is long. It is almost 1,200 pages, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride. First, let me talk about some things that I liked about the book. The first being this Losers Club. So this Losers Club consists of 4 main kids who hang out and are in a friend group and in the same school. Those kids are Bill, who is the unspoken leader of the group, Eddie, Richie, and Stanley, and they're all 4 friends. And then Mike Hanlon, who's from a different school, Beverly, who's a girl and doesn't really like hang out with them, and then Ben, who is a new kid. The book is set when the kids are around 12 or 13 years old in the 50s, and then the book is spliced timelines as they are adults coming back to Derry. Pennywise, circulates around every 27 years. He wakes up and preys on the people of Derry. And these kids are just awesome. For some reason, just the way that they're written, they are so realistic and so human. It felt very genuine and not forced. I felt that they were written very well. And I recognize that my bias on this point and probably other points has to do with how much I liked the movie, because I really saw like the cast and their like bickering and bantering paralleled in the book when I was reading it. Reading about the Losers Club was definitely one of my favorite parts. It was just so relatable and funny, and they were very bantery and insulty, but like you totally knew that they loved each other and would do anything for each other. The second thing I really liked about this book was the timeline. Chronologically, it doesn't move from left to right. One of the things that was really interesting about this was whenever you leave the town of Derry, you start to forget, and they had this thing that adults always forget, and so much of the stuff that goes down in Derry that is just like not acceptable and would have gotten like way more media coverage and like mass murders and like crazy stuff, is just like not really recognized. Nobody bats an eye, no adults really do anything. And in the book it is explained that Pennywise has such a grip over the town of Derry that this is a consequence of Pennywise's occupation of the town. So whenever the adults leave or the kids are growing up, they forget. They forgot all about fighting it, they forgot all about that summer. And so whenever they're coming back, you as the reader are reading them coming back and remembering things. And then the second they start to remember the situation, that their encounter with it, then you're jumped right into that kid as a 13, 12-year-old kid being scared by it or like running away. And so it just made the memory so potent because you were then experiencing what that person experienced. And it's like their remembering is them telling the reader rather than the way the movies are watched, which is from that summer when they were 12 to the end of that summer when they were 12. And then again, the second movie is whenever they're 40s coming back and fighting him again. Okay, so I've just finished kind of like trimming my hair. It's at an okay length. I feel like I could probably go shorter. But maybe for now, what I'd like to do is cut more bangs, and then I want to add some more layers. So then the last thing that I like really loved about the book was the multiple layers of horror. The gore and the body horror in the book was really well done. It was super creepy, very scary and unsettling. Then you also just have like the general horror, which is like the vibe of anticipation and atmosphere and just like being really freaked out and being able to like sit on the edge of your seat terrified and like wanting these kids to be okay. That was crafted really well. I'm not really sure if there's like a word for that, but it's just kind of like, oh, there's this horror thriller vibe. Like that's what good horror does, right? And then lastly, there was psychological horror, and this was done through a character called Patrick Hockstetter, and he plays such a minor role in the movies. He ends up meeting a very dismal fate. However, before that happens, it uses people who are prone to mental illness as a vessel for his fear. Patrick Hockstetter is used throughout the book as a way for it to kind of like deepen its hold and its effect on the town. He's not okay in the head. He's described in a variety of different ways that leads to the conclusion that he is a sociopath. He does not empathize with the feelings of others. He does not recognize others as living or human or capable of pain, and it's messed up. Before he meets this dismal ending, he causes so much grief and a lot of hurt. So that was also a layer that I didn't really fully get from the movie that was definitely more explored in the book. So that's the stuff that I liked about the book. So I just finished cutting the layers on this side, and then I cut my bangs just like a little bit shorter so that when I do this, which I do constantly, it gives the effect of just a little bit more volume around my face. And now I'm gonna do the layers on this side, but I did want to tell you about the stuff that I didn't like about this book. The length. First off, holy moly, this was an absolute trip. I would listen to this via audiobook. For some of the time, I did follow along with the book while listening to it. At the middle, there was a part that was like explaining a lot of history, which I felt dragged on. And then at the end, the last 150 pages or so was an absolute trek, which gets me into the second reason why I didn't like this book, the ending. Now, the ending I was a little bit confused about. It felt very all over the place. I'm obviously familiar with like the concept of like how it ends, but the specifics just went way over my head. And this may be because of that reader's fatigue. That last 150 pages was so difficult for me to get through, and I just like could not believe that it was still going. I've taken like 4 weeks between the time of reading and filming this video, which I think is very helpful because I definitely was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about this. I'm just ready to like push it out of my brain. That's not the attitude I want to have when I'm reading a book, let alone finishing a book. I felt that my reader's fatigue took away the enjoyment of the ending, which is like the fun part, the cool part, right? One day, maybe later in life, I will go back and read the last 150 pages again. It gave me more context to the movie, which of course, like I said, I love, and I did enjoy it. Now, I'm gonna cut some layers on my second side, and we're gonna wrap this up. I'm getting fatigued. I'm getting bored of this now. This is not the time to get bored, Sive. How are you guys doing? You doing all right? How you feeling? How are the weeks going? If you can't tell, my method here is just very like haphazard. It's actually based on a technique, but it's like, it is just so good, and it's sweet, and it's cute, and it's not like other horror scary movies where it's just like scaring for the sake of scaring. It's like about camaraderie and like kids coming together to beat the bad guy, which is something I love in fantasy and sci-fi books. So why can't I love that in a horror book? I love this freaking mom look right here. So this is the end of the video. I read it. It was great. I definitely picked this up on a whim. This was not like a huge goal of mine that I was like working towards. It was definitely very last minute and not planned. But I did buy this beautiful copy of this, floopy as heck, at a indie bookstore. I love this copy. This is the 2019 paperback reprint with Bill Skarsgård's It on it. And then I also just wanted to show you, because we're here, I got a copy from Facebook Marketplace. I bought this for $4, and this is a original mass paperback from the 80s, and it's in pretty good condition, and I'm very happy to have it. So thank you for watching this unusually paired video. I'm not too great at multitasking. Hopefully all of this was coherent and fun to watch. Thankfully I did not seriously mess up my hair. Anyways, I hope you liked this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.